Hi, everyone. It's Christopher, Mono County Library Director and co-host of the Oxygen Starved podcast. It's Book Talk Friday, and this time I've chosen two comic novels about, well, family dynamics. The first is This Is Where I Leave You by novelist and screenwriter Jonathan Tropper. Came out in the summer of 2009. This novel explores the popular dysfunctional family trope from the wry perspective of Judd Foxman, a depressed 35-year-old who's married to the woman of his dreams and has a great job. He feels he should be riding the top of his game, but instead he finds himself scraping the bottom of the barrel. The book opens with his sister calling him to say that their dad died, which isn't a surprise. He had been ill for some time. But what is a surprise is that near the end of his life, his barely religious father requested that all his kids come back to sit Shiva after his death. Now, if you're not familiar with it, in the Jewish faith, Shiva represents the 7 days of mourning the family goes through after the death of a close family member. The family literally sit on special Shiva chairs that are lower than the others in the room while they are visited by people paying their respects, which, when you think about it, can result in mourners spending quality time staring up the noses of their visitors, which Tropper uses to comic effect in this story. What we also learn near the beginning is that recently Judd had walked in on his wife having an affair with his boss, so in one swoop, his marriage and his career hit the skids. Then this pressure to go back to his childhood home with his grown brothers and sister and their families to spend a full week under the same roof with their eccentric mother. As you would expect, grown siblings are still siblings, so old grudges and memories lead to new hijinks as the family deals with each other and Judd learns to move through his loss. Tropper's often compared to Nick Hornby and Tom Perrotta, so if you like those writers, you'll likely enjoy this book, which you may also recognize was made into a movie a few years afterward with Jason Bateman in the lead and Jane Fonda as the mother. The LA Times described This Is Where I Leave You as hilarious and often heartbreaking, a novel that charms by allowing for messes, loose ends, and the reality that there's only one sure ending for everyone. Now, my pick for the newer title this week is The Guncle by Steven Rowley, also a novelist and screenwriter. This came out last May, and it immediately hit just about every summer read list of the year. Rowley's first novel, Lily and the Octopus, was terrific. In this one, Patrick, a former TV celebrity retired to Palm Springs, has for years been grieving the loss of his partner, blending into his colorful Palm Springs scenery and periodically visiting his family back east, where he can dip in and out as the fun gay uncle, hence the Guncle. But his sister-in-law dies of a long illness, and his brother decides at that point he needs to deal with his own addiction problems by going into rehab, and chooses a rehab center near Palm Springs so that Patrick can take care of his young niece Maisie and nephew Grant for the summer. Both of them are under the age of 10. Now, Patrick is resistant at first because he's not sure what to do with little kids for more than a few days at a time, but of course he gives in. Patrick is described in one review as being able to hide his vulnerability and grief behind an armor of wit, and that wit serves to bring you, the reader, into the story and then reaches in and pokes you in the heart from time to time as the kids learn to cope with the loss of their mother and the temporary loss of their father. In the wrong hands, this story would turn maudlin and heavy, but Rowley manages to keep it moving at an exuberant, sometimes campy pace, and with enough warmth and humor to keep it relatable without losing that poignancy that needs to be there. Now, as you might expect, the story ultimately becomes a question of just who is helping whom process their grieving. Library Journal says The Guncle is influenced by comic dialogue that would make Neil Simon jealous. The novel's serious undercurrent of loss gives way, in the end, to a warmth that will make readers smile. It's a funny tale of family and friends, and a salve for the wounds they often cause. So this is The Guncle by Steven Rowley. And this is Where I Leave You by Jonathan Tropper, two comic novels by screenwriters, so you know the dialogue is crisp and witty. Both great reads and available at Mono County Library. Stop in and grab one or another book to read. And remember, our state-funded Zip Books program is back, meaning if you want to read a book that we don't own, we can order it to be sent directly to you so you get to read it first. Find out more on our website under the Programs menu. In the meantime, stay safe and happy reading.